My name is Freya. I am not young now. I'm 87. I have lived many years. I have seen many things. I have felt both joy and pain. Now I set off to see my son. It has been so long. The weight makes my heart tremble. The plane is ready. People chat. Some laugh. Some sit in silence. A voice says, "Please fasten your seatbelt." I listen. I obey. The plane starts to move. My heart beats fast with memories. I recall the last time I saw my son. He was young then. He had big hopes. He said, "Mom, I want to learn. I want a better life." I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Stay strong." Then he left. I did not see him again. Years passed. Letters came. Phone calls came. But his face faded from my sight. Now, I have a ticket. I have a seat. I have a path to a new start. I close my eyes for a moment. A mix of hope and fear fills me. Then, a gentle voice whispers, "Come see me, Mom." My son calls from far away. I answer, "Yes, my son." It is time. A flight aide interrupts my thoughts. "Would you like a drink?" I open my eyes. I see her kind face. I say, "Just water, please." She gives me a small cup. I hold it tight. The plane is quiet. I hear soft whispers and steps. My mind drifts to the past. I remember my youth. Life was hard then. I worked every day. I helped my family. I had dreams that burned like a small flame. I waited for the right time. I wondered, did I choose right? Did I do enough? Those questions still haunt me. The plane glides along smoothly. I think of my son. Will he know me? Will he still need me? My trip is not just to a new town. It is a journey back in time. I was once a small girl. I had little in my life. My family had little. My father tilled the fields. My mother cooked and cleaned. I helped her. That was my whole world. I remember a day in my youth. I heard kids read with clear voices. I wanted those words for myself. I asked, "Dad, can I go to school?" He shook his head. "No, Freya, girls do not need school. Girls care for home." A spark of anger and hope burned inside me. I asked, "Why? Why can boys learn and not me?" That question lit a secret fire in my heart. At night, I listened to my brothers talk. They spoke of school and books. I grabbed a book. I ran my finger over the words. I whispered them to myself. I did not understand all of it, but I tried. My mother saw me, and she said, "Freya, sleep now." I pleaded, "I want to learn." She sighed, but did not stop me. The years turned. I learned, bit by bit. I copied words. I asked small questions. Some laughed and said, "You are just a girl." But I did not give in. I grew up. My father said, "It is time to wed." I did not want to wed. I wanted to work. I wanted to learn more. I said, "No, Dad, I want a new life." He was angry. I left home. I felt fear. I felt hope. I wanted more. I wanted a future. I had to show I could be more. I left with nothing but hope. I walked to the next town. I looked for work. People said, "You are a woman. What can you do?" I replied, "I work hard." A kind lady gave me a job in her small shop. She said, "You can clean. You can help the customers." I said, "Yes. Thank you." I worked from dawn until dusk. I listened to every word. I learned new words. I watched how people shopped. I saw how the lady kept the money safe. One day I asked, "Can you teach me to count money?" She smiled. "Yes, Freya. I will show you." I learned fast. I worked hard. Soon I was not just cleaning. I started to sell small things. I helped out more. People began to know me. They said, "Freya is smart. Freya is good at work." I saved some money. It was small, but it was mine. Then I made a bold choice. I said, "I want my own shop." The lady laughed. "That is hard, Freya." I said, "I know, but I will try." I found a tiny space. I bought a few items. I opened my shop. At first, few came. People whispered, "She is just a woman. She will fail." But I did not stop. I smiled. I greeted each one with a kind word. Slowly, more people came. My shop grew, and so did my dreams. Then a man came. He looked at me with a firm gaze. He said, "You are strong. You are different." I felt a shiver. He came back day after day. One day, he asked, "Will you marry me?" I paused. I remembered the past. I was not a helpless girl anymore. I was a woman who had built a life. I said, "Yes, but only if you respect me. Only if you let me keep my dreams." He smiled. "Yes, Freya." We wed. We worked side by side. We grew our small business. Soon, we had a son. I held him close. I looked at his tiny face. I promised, "You will have a good life. You will go to school. You will learn." Time passed. My son grew, bright and kind. He loved his books. One day he said, "Mom, I want to study in the city." My heart ached. I wanted him near. I remembered my own struggles and dreams. I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Stay strong." He packed his things. He hugged me tightly. He said, "I will write. I will call." And then he left. I waited for his letters. I waited for his calls. I waited for the day we meet again. Years went by. My son was far away. At first, he sent letters. He made phone calls. He said, "Mom, I learned so much I smiled with pride." Then the letters slowed. The calls became rare. He said, "Mom, I am busy. I have tests and work." I understood, yet my heart felt empty. One day, the phone stayed silent. The next day, nothing happened. A week went by, a month passed. I wrote my son, "Are you okay?" No reply came. I wondered, did he forget me? Did I send him too far? One dark night, I sat alone. The shop was closed. The house was still. I looked at his empty chair, and I felt a chill. I thought, maybe he does not need me now. Maybe I should have held him close. Then a letter came. My hands shook as I opened it. It said, "Mom, I miss you. I have a good job now. I want to see you. Please come." Tears filled my eyes. I touched the paper. My son had not forgotten me. He still wanted me near. But could I leave all I had built behind? I sat and thought for a long time. Then I chose to go. I bought a ticket. I packed a small bag. The day of my flight came. I stood at the airport. I had never flown before. All felt new and strange. I felt very small. A voice said, "Passengers, please board." I took a deep breath and stepped forward. I entered the plane. I sat down. The seat felt tight. The plane moved. My heart pounded. The engine roared. The plane rose into the sky. I thought, this is it. I will see my son. But a fear crept in. Will he know me? I looked at my old hands. My hair was white. My face had lines. My son had been young when he left. Now, he was a man. Will he see me as his mom? Will he hug me like before? I closed my eyes. The memories came back. His small hand in mine. His soft request for a story. His laugh that once filled our home. Now, he was far away. He had his own life. What if he had changed? What if he no longer needed me? The plane flew on. I clutched the letter with his words, "Mom, I want to see you." But a dark thought whispered, what if he says that out of guilt? What if he does not really want me? The plane began to descend. My journey neared its end. My heart raced with one final doubt. Will my son welcome me, or will I be a stranger? The plane slowed. A voice said, "We will land soon." My hands grew cold. My heart pounded. I thought, this is it. I will see him. But fear held me tight. What if he is not there? What if he has changed his mind? The plane touched down. People rose. They grabbed their bags. I sat for a moment. I took one deep breath. I stood up. I walked slowly. I saw a sign. Exit. My steps felt heavy. I went into the airport. People waited. Some held signs. Some carried flowers. Some hugged their kin. I searched for my son. I looked left. I looked right. Nothing. My heart sank. Did he forget me? Did I come for nothing? I stood there, lost in thought. People passed by. No one looked my way. I felt alone. Then a soft voice said, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you Freya?" I turned. A young woman stood before me. Her face was kind. She held a phone in her hand. "Yes," I replied in a weak tone. She smiled and said, "Your son sent me." He could not come. He had an important meeting. He asked me to bring you to him. My heart broke a little. My son was not here. I traveled so far, and he was missing. I nodded. Okay? She took my bag and said, "Follow me." I walked with her in silence. We went outside. A car waited. She opened the door and said, "Please get in." I sat. The door closed. City lights flashed by. My heart was heavy. He did not come himself. He sent someone. I fought back tears. The car stopped. The woman smiled. "We are here." I looked up. A tall building stood before me. She opened its door. "Your son is waiting inside," she said softly. I took a deep breath and stepped out. I rode the lift up. The door opened. I saw him. There he stood in a suit. He looked older, taller, and strong, yet his face was still my son's face. I wanted to smile. I waited for him to speak first. He looked at me. His mouth opened, then closed. He stepped forward and said, "Mom, Mom, I'm so sorry." His voice broke. His eyes filled with tears. I did not know what to say. He came closer. He took my hands and held them tight. I felt both joy and sorrow. I was scared he might be mad. I looked at my grown son. He was not a boy anymore, but in that moment, he still held the spark of the little boy I once knew. I smiled and held his hands. "My son," I said, "I am here now." I knew then that he had not forgotten me. His grip was strong, but his hand shook. His eyes were wet with tears. I had not seen him cry since he was small. "Mom," he said softly, "I missed you." I looked at him and saw the little boy who once held my hand on his first day of school. The boy who ran to me when he was scared. Now he was a man with a suit, a job, and his own life. But in that moment, he was still my son. "I missed you too," I said in a calm, soft voice. He sighed. "I thought you would be mad. I thought you would feel left out." I shook my head. "I waited for you. I knew you worked hard. I knew you built your future." He closed his eyes for a moment. Then he said, "Mom, I should have come more. I should have called more." I smiled. "I am here now. That is what matters." He let go of my hand. "Come, let's go home." "Home?" I asked. "Yes," he said with a gentle smile. "Now our home is here." We walked out together. The air was cool. The lights shone bright. The night was still and full of mystery. Everything had changed, but inside, some things remained the same. I was not just a visitor. I was a mom. We got into his car. As we drove, he talked softly. He told me about his work, his dreams, and his hard days. He asked, "How is the shop, Mom? How is life?" I laughed and said, "The shop is fine, but times are hard." He smiled and said, "Maybe I can help." I looked at him. My son was now the one who offered support. Time had changed many things, but love stayed the same. We reached his home. It was big, neat, and warm. He opened the door for me. "Come in, Mom," he said. I stepped inside. The house was bright. There was food on the table. "My favorite meal," he said. "I made this for you." My heart filled with joy. "Thank you, my son," I said. We sat together. We ate. We talked. We laughed. As the night grew calm, he said, "Mom, I learned all from you. You showed me how to work, how to dream, and how to never give up." Tears filled my eyes. I had long wondered if I had done enough. Now I knew the answer. I reached for his hand and whispered, "Life moves on, but love never changes." He smiled and said, "Yes, Mom. Now we are together." I nodded. I was home. As I sit here, I think of my long life. I think of the hard days and the choices I made. I was once a little girl with no voice. I wanted to learn. I wanted more. Many said, "You cannot." But I did. I share my tale with you now. Maybe you have dreams. Maybe you fear to chase them. Maybe you wait for a sign. Know this, you are strong. You matter. You are not alone. Do not fear. Step forward. Trust yourself. And remember, love always finds a way.